Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We are entering the last part of our show. We have Treaty Chapa Fuller Realty and Chase Clement at Aurora Insurance Services. And they're sitting with us. We're excited to get their unique insight on home buying process and all it entails. Once you have been pre-approved and found your dream home, all the other important steps and obtaining insurance and everything is a big part of the closing process. So, Treaty and Chase, tell me, would you say a working relationship between insurance agent and a realtor, is that very important?
I definitely agree that, and I'm sure that Chase would agree as well. It's important right from the beginning, right? Once we find that home, if the more information we can find out about that home from the past is more information for that buyer.
Right. Yeah, and I've had a number of realtors, reach out to me regarding, floodplains or claims. I know that comes up. So certainly having that relationship is huge. One thing I always, tell any realtor, any lender, anybody that has referred me business is that, for us or for me, I'm an extension of them. So, from a sales perspective, somebody's going to buy a home, you get a referral from somebody. Not only are you, trying to take care of that client, but you're also trying to you really take care of that relationship of being an extension of them and taking care of that client the way that they would expect them to. So I know for me as a getting those referrals, that's something that's really important to me.
That's a huge thing. There is we talk about referrals but it's more than that. I mean, it goes. I mean, you're exactly right. Extension. I mean, we have a list of insurance agents and we have a list of realtors that we present to people whenever asked. And I mean, we're not just throwing anybody on there. We want to make sure that that's the go-to person because, the last thing we want them to do is come back and say, hey, I talked to this person. It was awful or something, they weren't represented. So we want to make sure that we've got people like-minded like us that are going to bring the best deal and the best service to that person. That's important for us. I mean, how do you guys feel?
It's a team. I'm going to say it's a team.
It is.
So you're your lender, your insurance, your realtor, your title company.
Everything.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's all. It's every person is a piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
Well, and everybody benefits. I mean, if somebody has a good experience, having a realtor, find them a home, and then they have a lender that helps them through that process and gets them a great loan, and then the insurance portion is runs smoothly. I mean, all of that as that goes together, that's when they want to refer family, they want to refer friends, they want to come back when they buy another home, and you work with those same individuals. So it just helps your overall business as far as developing those relationships.
Yeah, and I don't know how your two's goes when you're speaking with somebody, but they're looking to us for information because we're the professionals, and I know they'll ask me things about, so often they'll say, well, is this a good deal on a house? I mean, talk to your agent. I am not an agent, and who you went with, and so it's important that we have that because when we tell someone to speak with somebody, you're kind of like we say it's that extension, and it's so important to be able to go back and forth and with that. So, but
it is, and I think. Treaty had a good question about insurance, and Treaty, what was that question you had for Chase?
Well, I know when the agency goes out and looks at the home that my buyer is interested in buying, they actually run a CLUE report on the property, and that CLUE report, I believe, tells them any past history of claims that have been called in on. And I'd like to talk, if you could talk about that, but also when does a homeowner know when to call their insurance company, and when should they maybe just fix it themselves and not say anything?
Yeah, no, that second portion that's a really good question because I know that comes up a lot. But as far as the CLUE report, from an insurance perspective, anytime somebody's getting a quote, that's when we run the CLUE report. So anytime, and that's for home or auto. I mean, anytime claims come up, certainly the insurance score gets affected, and of course that adjusts the rates one way or the other.
So what's a CLUE report?
A CLUE report, and what's a report that they call?
Yeah,
in
so
on
really what it is as Trudy said, it basically is a report that all insurance companies basically are a part of. That they anytime a claim is filed, I guess it really goes to kind of across the board. It's LexisNexis is the company that we work with, and so that's who we pull these reports from, and it basically just shows the insurance companies what claim history has happened on that individual or the property that they're purchasing. But as far as your second portion, that second question, as far as when to call regarding a claim, well, This is a pretty big misconception is that, say, for example, a hailstorm comes through and there's a little leak on the roof. A lot of times people want to just jump on the phone, call their insurance, and then what happens, the insurance company, they come out and they tell you that, well, it's actually below your deductible to fix. However, the insurance company will still ding you and still say that you filed a claim. So really that's where us as the agent comes in, is that's why it's important to have that relationship with your agent. You want to call them and say, hey, this is what's going on. What do you suggest? And so, typically in those situations, what I'll always suggest is to have somebody come out and give, a bid on, whatever needs fixing, whether it's, water damage or, the roof, what have you. But, it's important to get an estimate, get a bid before you actually go to file a claim, because if it's going to be under your deductible, then you're not going to be able to have the insurance pay for it anyway. So don't get dinged doing that.
Great advice. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically call the agent, not the company.
Yes.
Don't call the 800 number.
Big
if you have
difference.
a question about a claim, but you want to call your insurance agent. And Treaty, that was a great point. I never really thought about that. But if you're just tuning in, I'm going to remind you, you're listening to Real Estate Radio San Antonio, and that's realestateradio.sa.com at 9:30. The Answer. We're talking with Treaty Chapa and Chase Clement about insurance and real estate, and we're talking about what report was that?
The KLUP report.
The KLUP report.
Those in the industry seem to know
It's interesting because sometimes when people call and get insurance, and they're like, why is my insurance so high? But it could be that report that's telling the agent there's been many claims. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily follow the homeowner that's selling it, but it stays with the property. And so it could affect your rate.
Well, it could. Different companies will rate things differently. A lot of times it really does follow the insured. Mm-hmm. So if you're buying a property that has some claim history, I mean, that does go into underwriting factors, and underwriting will take a look at that and see whether or not that's a property they want to look at, if those have been remedied or if they've haven't been fixed, or just what kind of shape the property is in. But also, the insurance score of the actual insurer. I mean, there's a lot of those things that play a factor into that. I mean, certainly property that's had 4 water damage claims in the past year. I mean, a lot of insurance companies, even if you're you as the insured have had a great history, that's going to be a tough house that an insurance company would want to insure.
Yeah, so let me get this right. So Treaty has a house that her buyer is purchasing, and they do an inspection, and the inspection finds a problem with the roof, let's say. So then they say, we'll fix that. We'll call our insurance agent. And they call the insurance agent, company gives them approval, they fix that roof. And so is that going to raise the premium possibly on that property for the new buyer that Treaty has?
Well, when it comes to act of God, that's not something that's ever going to affect the claim. So if there's a hailstorm, hail damage, that doesn't affect your premium.
Okay.
Because that's really out of our control. There's nothing that you as an insured could have done differently. So that's not something that'll raise your rates.
So what raises your rate? Driving your car through the garage door?
Yeah, that's probably going to do it. That's probably going to do it.
Well, and if you have a leak under the sink, for example, and you let it go,
okay.
and you don't tend to it, and it gets mold and
absolutely, that'd be a great one.
Mm-hmm. So in reality, almost somebody could have to pay a higher premium for the prior person's sins.
Well, no. I mean, really, it does follow the insured, but
it does follow the insured.
It does. So it is all about the insured, but when you look at claims in general. So for me myself, if I filed a couple of claims, insurance company looks at it and say, well, why is he filing claims? I mean, they don't take care of their property. I mean, so those are the kind of the questions that start getting. The reason why all those get factored into the way that they rate you. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. Claims, your credit is a big one. So there's a lot of factors that go into how they rate you as far as premium goes.
Quick, Treaty.
Yes.
Any words of advice? Anything you want to talk about here as we're winding this thing down?
Use a professional.
Use a professional.
Yes.
That's if there's anything we talk about on this show is use professionals.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Absolutely.
Makes a big difference.
Chase, as we're winding it down here, we got a couple minutes left. If you guys want to unload on something here that.
No, I just appreciate you guys having us on, and certainly it's any time you get an opportunity to to talk about your company and get that chance to do that. We're certainly glad for that.
One question you had asked me earlier before we started, Karla, was, when is a good time to do a CMA, which is a comparative market study on your home? If you call me, any time is a good time. Whenever you're wondering about the value of your home, or even if you're just curious as to see the activity that's going on in your neighborhood, or you're curious about your neighbor's home, call us. We would gladly do that. Much like Chase, I can push a button and have that report for you very easily and readily, and there is no charge to you.
And that's a great thing, and we could almost probably have a whole show on that because that's investment. Property value is probably your home is probably the most wealth that you have. That so many people do, and to not know what that wealth is almost kind of silly. So to know that's there, you could probably refinance, you could probably sell it, you could move up, you'd have all that information. So to do a property,
keep a pulse on the neighborhood.
Yeah, just
what's
know
going
what's
on.
going on.
Right.
So that's great advice. So, well, we want to thank you both for joining us here
Thank
today.
you.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We just as we head out to time's up. We want to thank everybody for coming here and joining us today. 9:30 a.m. The Answer for the Real Estate Radio San Antonio. Just want to remind you to be here. We'll be here same time, same place next week. And as I'm speaking next week, we have the Office of Historic Preservation along with Deborah Maltz of Central Property. We're going to be talking about downtown. We like downtown. Treaty likes
Yes,
downtown.
we do.
Chase likes downtown.
We love San Antonio.
We love San Antonio. So be here, 9:30 a.m. The Answer. See you next week.